It's 5:00 p.m. on a Wednesday. You're standing in the middle of the grocery store, staring at a packet of taco seasoning, desperately trying to reverse engineer Tuesday's dinner plans in your head.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we have all been there. It's the
Right.
worst.
Meanwhile, your phone is buzzing with a Slack notification about a client deliverable, and you suddenly, you just totally cannot remember if you paid the water bill.
It is a highly specific, very modern type of panic.
It really is. And, that brings us to our mission for today's deep dive. We are looking at the exact anatomy of that specific modern burnout.
Exactly. And more importantly, we're looking at how to reclaim your time and your sanity when you are balancing heavy professional demands with, running a household.
Right. So our source today is a highly practical one. It's an article dated June 18th, 2026 from the blog AI365.
Yeah, and it's titled The Weekly Planner I Wish I Had Sooner, a free tool for busy pros and parents, written by the site's author, William.
Okay, let's unpack this because our goal today isn't just to walk through the features of another digital tool.
All right, nobody needs just another app review.
Exactly. We want to understand the reality of juggling Asana for work, Google Calendar for appointments, and 47 sticky notes scattered across your desk.
Which is how most of us are currently operating, sadly.
Yeah. We are going to explore why a surprisingly simple, fiercely privacy-focused tool might be the ultimate antidote for you, the listener, if you're feeling totally overwhelmed.
William establishes the stakes of this discussion perfectly right out of the gate. He points out a fundamental truth that most of us try to ignore, which is that keeping it all in your head isn't a system.
Right.
It's a recipe for burnout. Our core theme today is exploring why that is and how simplifying the way we store information externally is, well, it's the most effective method for reducing our internal cognitive load.
Yeah, because to understand the solution, we really first have to dissect the problem, right? Why do our weeks start with such rigorous intentions on Monday morning, but by the time we hit Thursday afternoon,
We're looking around bewildered.
exactly, wondering how the week completely derailed?
Well, William gets into the very specific pain points driving this derailment. He lists client deadlines, school pickups, meal planning, and trying to remember those utility bills.
Which hits so close to home.
It really does. And he targets a specific demographic here. It's professionals and parents who have slowly realized that telling themselves, I'll remember it, is not a valid strategy.
It's actually a trap, right?
It is a complete cognitive trap. Relying on organic memory for administrative tasks, whether that's household or professional, it pretty much guarantees failure.
Yeah, I mean, your brain is designed for processing and problem solving, not for functioning as a static filing cabinet for errands.
Exactly. When you try to use it as a filing cabinet, you create a constant low-level hum of anxiety because your subconscious is actively working to not forget things.
I look at it like a web browser. When you are trying to hold on to the water bill, the client deadline, and the school pickup, you basically have 75 tabs open in your mental browser.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. And even if you aren't actively looking at the water bill tab, it's running in the background, just slowly draining your battery.
Yeah, draining your executive function until you're exhausted.
Exactly. So you need an external tool to act as a bookmark manager, letting you close those tabs. But here is the curveball with William's solution. He built what is essentially an anti-app.
Yeah, the anti-app approach is fascinating.
It's a free web-based dashboard on AI365.blog. There's no email gate, no upsell, no login screen, and no download required.
Which is an active rebellion against the current tech ecosystem, if you think about
It's
it.
fair.
Almost everything built today is designed to capture your data, force you into a subscription funnel, or keep you infinitely scrolling.
Right. But this raises a major question. If this tool doesn't require an account or a login, how does it actually remember anything? Isn't the lack of a cloud sync a massive step backward for a productivity tool in 2026?
What's fascinating here is that the lack of cloud sync is actually its greatest psychological asset.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, William designed it to use local storage. The data saves automatically directly onto the cache of the user's specific device.
Okay, so just right on the phone or laptop you're using.
Exactly. You close the browser, and the next time you open that page on that specific phone or laptop, your tasks are still there. But the implications of this go far beyond just bypassing a login screen.
Ah, I think I see where you're going. It's about surveillance fatigue, isn't it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because there is no database on the creator's end, there is zero tracking. Your data never leaves your device.
Wow, that is rare nowadays.
It is. We live in a data-hungry landscape where, every application you use is quietly monitoring your location, analyzing your purchasing habits, and mapping your daily routines.
Yeah, and we have developed a subconscious fatigue from constantly being observed by our own software.
Right. Knowing that your chaotic weekly to-do list is perfectly contained, that it isn't being fed into some predictive advertising algorithm, it provides a very subtle but very real cognitive relief. It's like a quiet digital room.
A quiet digital room.
Love
I
it.
love that. That makes perfect sense. The friction isn't just in the number of clicks. The friction is the mental weight of the software itself.
Exactly.
So, okay, we have this secure, frictionless foundation. Let's move into how this actually applies to the daily chaos. Instead of just looking at the software tabs, let's look at the thematic friction of a typical day.
Right. Starting with the constant whiplash between professional work and household management.
Yes, the cost of context switching. It is one of the heaviest drains on our daily energy.
Without a doubt. William addresses this by focusing on work tasks and family meals right up front.
Okay, so how does he set that up?
For work, you basically brain dump your tasks, categorize them by high, medium, or low priority, assign a due date, and then you just check them off.
Seems simple enough.
Yeah, and for meals, you map out Monday through Sunday. But the mental load of what am I forgetting disappears because it's all in one view.
Right. But I want to push back on this for a second. I get the meal planning, but does a simple high, medium, low priority list really replace robust project management software for a busy professional managing complex deliverables?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the answer's no. But it isn't trying to.
Okay, so it's not a substitute.
Right. It's not a substitute for an enterprise Asana board or a complex Jira workflow. Trying to manage a multi-tiered corporate project in a 3-column web list would be a total disaster.
Right, obviously. So if it's not replacing those tools, what is its actual function for a busy professional? It seems to me like it's acting more as an integration dashboard.
An integration dashboard is the perfect way to phrase it. Think about the friction of moving between different spheres of responsibility.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
When you are deeply embedded in your professional software, life doesn't patiently wait on the sidelines. At 2 p.m., you suddenly remember the school play is tomorrow, and you need to buy poster board.
Oh, the dreaded poster board panic.
Exactly. And if you put that domestic thought into your professional project manager, you clutter your workflow and risk your boss seeing a ticket for poster board.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
But if you write it on a physical sticky note, you're probably going to lose it.
Right. So this dashboard serves as the high-level executive summary of your entire existence for the week.
Yes, precisely.
It pulls the most critical must-dos from the professional side and places them right next to the domestic must-dos.
It consolidates vastly different types of responsibilities into a single mental framework.
Which is huge.
It gives you permission to completely close out of your heavy, demanding enterprise software when you don't need it, knowing the critical high-level priorities are tracked safely in one neutral space.
Yeah, so it stops the exhausting cognitive drain of bouncing between a massive work portal and like a scattered text thread with your spouse just to figure out how to survive the next 12 hours.
Exactly. And speaking of surviving the next 12 hours,
Yeah.
William tackles the food aspect in a really clever way.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting to me. The meal planning section has this specific button, Generate Grocery List.
It's a lifesaver.
It really is. Once you've mapped out the week's meals, you hit this button, and it instantly spits out a clean, printable shopping list for those exact meals. I look at this feature like having a digital sous chef.
That's a highly accurate comparison.
But
The tool handles the administrative prep work.
exactly, because the human brain is terrible at translation when it's tired, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Like translating, we're having tacos, spaghetti, and chicken into a granular list of individual ingredients requires a surprising amount of focus.
Yeah, William actually has a very relatable anecdote in the source about wandering the grocery store trying to remember what goes with tacos.
We've all done the taco aisle blank stare.
Right. By automating that specific translation, it removes the friction between the intention of cooking and the execution of shopping.
It addresses decision fatigue head on. By the time you reach the grocery store after a full workday, your executive function is severely depleted.
You don't want to make decisions anymore. You just want to follow instructions. The generated list provides those instructions.
Which perfectly transitions us into the next major source of household friction, delegation and family buy-in.
Right, because a household is rarely a solo operation.
Yeah. William tackles this through a quick budget and a kids' chores system. And again, the approach here is fascinating.
He explicitly states the budget tool is a 30-second check.
Right. You drop in your income, you drop in your expenses, and a simple visual bar shows you what is left over. He adds the caveat that it won't replace accounting software.
And it shouldn't. Granular financial tracking is crucial for long-term wealth management, but it's entirely useless for immediate low-energy decision-making.
Exactly. He says the goal of this budget is simply to answer the immediate question. Can we eat out Friday?
Which is the question we're all asking by Thursday night.
Right. I look at this like the gas gauge on a car. When you're driving down the highway, you don't need a real-time diagnostic readout of your fuel injector efficiency or your exact engine pressure.
No, that information would actually distract you.
Exactly. You just need a dial that tells you, do I have enough fuel to get to the restaurant?
Bypassing the complexity is the point. When you are exhausted on a Wednesday evening and debating whether to order takeout, forcing yourself to log into a comprehensive financial app, categorize previous transactions, and analyze a profit and loss statement is just too much friction.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
Right. The gas gauge approach bypasses your exhausted executive function and gives you a binary answer.
And then there's the delegation aspect, the kids' chores. It's a gamified system where parents add the kids, assign daily chores, and set point values that tally automatically as the kids check them off.
Yeah, it even includes a reset week button and generates a printable chore chart for the fridge.
Which is so practical. And William makes an observation in the source that is highly pragmatic. He says, yes, it uses emojis. Kids care about emojis.
Which is just so true. And it points to the broader underlying philosophy of the entire tool.
How does this gas gauge approach and the emoji chore chart fit into William's broader philosophy of building for real life versus Instagram life?
Well, William is building for reality, not for optics. He explicitly states that the tool is built for real life with, quote, work calls that run long and kids who only eat chicken nuggets on Tuesdays.
I love that quote. The chicken nugget life versus the aesthetic for Instagram life.
It's a crucial distinction.
It really is.
Yeah.
Why is that distinction so critical when we talk about productivity systems? Because William specifically calls out people who buy beautiful paper planners in January only to abandon them by February.
People abandon those planners because perfectionism makes a system incredibly fragile.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it.
When your organizational system demands aesthetic perfection like color-coded highlighters, flawless handwriting, perfectly balanced organic meal plans, it cannot withstand contact with reality.
Yeah, the moment reality hits, a kid gets sick, a client call runs 2 hours late, or you end up eating cereal for dinner, the system breaks.
And once a perfectly aesthetic planner has a scribbled out mistake or a blank week in it, looking at it just makes you feel like you are failing.
It's so true. The tool transforms from a helpful assistant into a visual monument to your inadequacy. You avoid it because it generates guilt.
Exactly. Williams' approach is an exercise in profound pragmatism. By designing a tool that is digital, forgiving, and focused purely on function, it removes the guilt.
Right. The gas gauge budget doesn't judge you for not tracking a $4 coffee. It just tells you if you can afford pizza.
And the emoji chore chart embraces what actually motivates children rather than what looks chic and minimalist on a social media feed.
Yeah. Pragmatism creates a resilient system. Perfectionism creates a fragile one. That is a massive takeaway.
It really is the core of why this works.
So we've explored the psychology of why this works. Let's look at the actual implementation. How does a listener actually integrate this into their life?
Well, William outlines a really simple 60-second usage loop.
Bookmark the page, brain dump tasks, plan meals, and generate the list, check the budget, and add chores.
Right. But the real value is in his suggested implementation strategy. He recommends turning this into a ritual.
Oh, right. The Sunday night coffee ritual.
Ooh.
He promises that spending exactly 10 minutes with a cup of coffee on Sunday night to fill this out makes the entire week feel lighter.
Yeah, that pro tip is huge. And there is a bonus feature that makes this highly actionable. An export to PDF button.
Oh, that's right. One click takes the entire dashboard, tasks, meals, budget, chores, and drops it into a clean PDF that you can email to a partner, hand to a nanny, or physically stick on the refrigerator.
It creates a centralized, easily distributable source of truth for the entire household.
But, as we look at this remarkably grounded traditional tool, we have to contextualize where it lives, because the environment surrounding this tool is a massive paradox.
Yes. The context of the AI 365 blog is arguably the most interesting part of this entire analysis.
It really is. The website is entirely dedicated to the bleeding edge of artificial intelligence tools.
Yeah, if you look at the sidebar articles mentioned in the source material, you see heavy, complex topics.
Right, like generative AI for video creation, building agentic workplaces, and advertisements for a course on how to prompt like a master architect.
The site is operated by a U.S. Army veteran, and they transparently note that articles are co-written with AI.
Yeah, William is even asking his audience for feedback on his next free tool, floating the idea of a client email responder.
So the juxtaposition is stark. You have an author deeply embedded in the world of autonomous agents and large language models, offering a primary tool that has absolutely zero AI integration.
It is essentially a digital piece of paper. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? How does this paradox make sense in AI and tech blog giving us a tool that actively avoids advanced technology?
This raises an important question about the difference between technological capability and human capacity.
How so?
Well, Williams seems to have arrived at a profound realization. In a world obsessed with automation and predictive algorithms, he recognized that sometimes the most advanced hack isn't a complex AI trying to learn your habits and optimize your calendar. Sometimes the ultimate tool is a frictionless interface that simply respects your limited mental bandwidth.
Ah, right. Because he specifically designed it to be used, quote, while you're in the school pickup line.
Which is the perfect testing ground for human bandwidth.
Oh, totally.
When you are inching forward in a car line, monitoring your surroundings, and suddenly remembering that you need to buy poster board, you do not need a conversational AI.
No, definitely not.
You don't want to navigate a complex app architecture. You need a large, highly visible button that lets you instantly capture the thought before it vanishes.
Yeah, William used his technological expertise not to add features, but to aggressively strip away technological friction.
It is a testament to the idea that in an increasingly noisy digital landscape, designing for simplicity is actually the most advanced engineering feat of all.
That is the perfect way to frame it. It's using tech to quiet the noise, not add to it.
Okay, let's bring this all together. Here are the core takeaways for you, the listener.
You can reclaim your mental bandwidth. Exactly. You do not have to live in a state of constant low-level panic about what you are forgetting. By consolidating your professional priorities, your family meals, your immediate budget constraints, and household delegation into one frictionless, locally saved dashboard, you stop the exhausting cognitive drain of context switching.
It's ultimately about creating a trusted external system so that your brain doesn't have to function as a filing cabinet.
Right.
And I think there is a final, broader thought here worth exploring long after this deep dive is over.
Oh, what's that?
We just examined how the creator of an AI-focused platform, someone whose daily life revolves around the cutting edge of digital complexity, recognized that the ultimate productivity tool for a busy parent or professional isn't an autonomous AI agent, but a simple, locally saved list that doesn't even demand a login.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to think about.
As we rush headlong toward a future of increasingly complex, hyper-connected, and constantly monitoring technologies, we have to ask ourselves, is the true luxury of the future actually going to be disconnected, perfectly contained simplicity?
Is the future of luxury just the ability to disconnect entirely? That is a fantastic question to end on. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into reclaiming your week. We highly recommend trying out William's strategy. Grab a cup of coffee this Sunday night, spend 10 minutes clearing out your mental browser tabs, and see if it doesn't make your Monday feel significantly lighter. Because while there is no single X-ray to diagnose modern burnout, finding a system that prioritizes pragmatism over perfection is the closest thing we have to a cure. Until next time.